Hello, I'm game designer Danny Wallace, and I wanted to provide a first look at Elemancer as it has been translated into the digital platform screentop.gg. First, the map has 3 tiers. The most central is the starting Tier 1 zone, surrounded by Tier 2 and Tier 3, the outside edge. Tier 1 in particular is broken down into 5 subzones. Starting on the lower left, we have air, earth, electric, fire, and ice, and those are the basic elements of Elemancer. While in Tier 2 and 3, there are 4 distinct zones. You can kind of see here. Each zone or subzone has associated elements and gems. Gems are found in the lower left corner of Tier 2 and Tier 3 zones, and they're roughly central to the Tier 1 subzones. Tier 2 and 3 also have an unlockable warp point that will allow players to quickly traverse the map later in the game. Tier 3 zones each have 4 boss monsters fought on these color-coded spaces, as you can see here, for instance, Air Dragon, Electric Dragon. These boss monsters are static, and there are 2 for each of the zone's elements, a dragon and a horror type. Dragons are immune to all elements that they are not explicitly weak to. The only exception is the water variant, the Hydra. And this is because Hydromancy cares about creating harmony between the elements, and water builds tend to have multiple different elements within them. So it didn't make sense to punish players for playing the build as intended, so water gets a special boss variant. Now horrors, on the other hand, each have a unique condition during their fight, and their weaknesses depend on the zone. So the water horror in this zone is weak to time and water, while the water horror in this zone is weak to ice and water. Upon defeating a boss, you take their card and put it into your discard pile as a reward. Many boss abilities will remain active once played, granting you a passive bonus. So in general, zones have temple, shrine, and monster den spaces. Monster dens allow you to fight monsters to gain essence, and the monsters themselves are found on a separate surface, aptly named monster dens. You can see here, they're all laid out, divided by tiers, and so when fighting a monster, I recommend top card moving it to the main surface. There you can check it out and enlarge it. Flip it over to see the conditions and stats, and then send it back to the Shadow Realm once you're done. So temples and shrines are your main source of new cards, which is pretty central to the game, and these piles will be face up with their cost requirements at the top. Diamond-shaped costs can be paid with gem tokens or from gems on your cards, while rectangular costs, which are unique to temple cards, can only be paid with gems from cards. For example, this card requires you to have a blue gem card in your hand to pay for it, and if this card were in your hand, it would count as an orange gem. Could you so choose to use it that way. And that about covers the basics of the map and the main points of interest that you'll encounter on the board.